Welcome back to another episode of The Replay Room. I'm Drew Gibbons, and this is my first NFL edition of this little show. And man, oh man, can I say that my favorite team, the Green Bay Packers, just put the NFC North and whole NFL on notice with their performance today. Lambeau was rocking from start to finish. Jordan Love came out slinging it, and the defense was just phenomenal all around. So today I'll kind of be breaking down all the big plays, recapping the game, and giving my takeaways and what this means for the future of the Packers season, as it looks very exciting this year just based off the game. So grab a seat and let's take a dive into this edition of the Replay Room. So offensively, the Packers came out hot. They got the ball first, and I always have a fear of the Packers starting slow in the season because that's how it's been the past couple of years. However, that was not the case today. First drive of the season, we went 12 plays for 83 yards, capped off by Jordan Love hitting Tucker Kraft for a 15-yard touchdown up the seam against Brian Branch. And the reason I mentioned Brian Branch is because, ironically, earlier in the drive, he had thrown Tucker Kraft's helmet after a play that got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty to keep the drive going. So Kraft gave him a little smirk after that, and yeah, it's a rivalry, what you expect. Next drive, it was another strong march down the field that ended in a Brandon McManus field goal, making it 10-0, but it was very nice to score twice in the first quarter and be up double digits afterwards. And then came the real highlight drive of the day for me. Lions had driven down the field and gotten the field goal to bring it within 10-3. And so how do we answer? Jordan Love throws a beautiful deep ball to Romeo Doubs, who breaks open on a post route for a gain of about 48 yards. On a ball that could not have been placed any better, and it really shows why Jordan Love has the potential to be an MVP candidate and why he's as good as I think he is. And then he follows that up with a beautiful 17-yard touch pass to Jaden Reed in the end zone for a two-play, 65-yard drive that took just over a minute of game time, and I really felt that that was when I knew we were going to win the game. We really started 3 drives, 3 scores, and that really was kind of what they did the Lions in. And there were definitely dominant points throughout the day, but the second half wasn't as strong offensively. And I don't even think it was conservative play calling. I think the execution just got worse. Love was a little wild on some of his throws, and there were a couple near interceptions that I was not a fan of that reminded me of old Jordan Love, and I really don't want to see that again because that Jordan Love is not awesome. But the run game kind of got going more in the second half, and Brandon Jacobs, I think, had 66 yards, which is good against a very strong Lions front seven. And you could definitely tell he wanted it at the end of the game. And that's just going to get better with time, and I think even next week it'll be better. But my shout out from offense from the day goes to the offensive line. I don't know what was done in the offseason, but this offensive line just contained arguably one of the best pass rushes in the league and didn't allow Jordan Love to get sacked once, I'm pretty sure. Like, they held their ground all day, and I felt like Love had all day in the pocket to throw, and that was what made his decision making so good today and made him have the time to be able to make those elite throws that he can make. So huge shout out to the offensive line, and if the offense keeps playing like this, I'd watch out for us as a contender this year because it was phenomenal. But on the big spot I want to highlight from today is our defense. Last year was year 1 of the Jeff Hafley defense, and it was phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. Like, from where we had been with Joe Barry to where we were with Jeff Hafley, it was great. Somehow it got better. And it's not just because of Micah Parsons, which we'll get to that in a second, but it got so much better this year. It was flat out fantastic today. They swarmed the ball consistently. I think there was a run play where I counted 10 different guys on the defense swarming the ball at the same time. And we shut down the Lions' run game and created pressure all afternoon. And the big offseason addition, Micah Parsons, was obviously a factor in this. Whenever he was out there, which was limited snaps, he made his presence felt. 2 big ones that stand out for me is the Lions were in the red zone with a minute left in the first half, and he got free and pressured Goff and forced Goff to throw an interception to Evan Williams, which really took all their momentum out of the game. And he also got a huge sack in the fourth quarter, which I think really helped too. But even when he wasn't filling up the stat sheet, his presence out there allowed other guys to get free. Rashawn Gary had a sack and a half today. Devontae Wyatt had a sack today. Lucas Van Ness had half a sack today. Like, we had 4 sacks, and for a team that couldn't get any pressure last year, that's incredible. We also had 9 tackles for loss today. We were getting pressure and disrupting everything they were trying to do, and it really threw off the Lions' offensive rhythm and allowed us to win the game. Another shout out I want to give is to linebacker Edgerrin Cooper, as he continued his breakout from the second half of last year. He finished with 12 total tackles today as he continued to fly around the field using that speed to track down the running backs and receivers when he needed to. The secondary had a decent outing today too. There were a few blown coverages that caused some problems and got me a little nervous, but those will come and be fixed with time, and that's also just part of the game. Not every coverage is going to be perfect, and we didn't have our big offseason addition in Nate Hobbs, so I think it'll get better. But honestly, this was the most dominant defensive performance I have seen from the Packers in a long time, and if they keep this up, they are going to be probably a top 5 NFL defense, which I think combine that with our offense, and we would definitely be dangerous. Today was a very dominant performance from Green Bay. We are balanced, physical, and explosive on both sides of the ball. And Jordan Love looked sharp. The receivers stepped up and the O-line dominated. However, this was week 1 and the Lions are going to get better, and we're going to have to make adjustments too. So I'm trying to keep my expectations in check this week. I know we could be a legitimate NFC contender if we play as good as that, but I also want to make sure the Lions are actually as good as I think they are, because if they're some mediocre team, then this win doesn't look as impressive as I think it does. However, I think we have another very good test to see how good we stack up, because we play the Commanders and Jaden Daniels on Thursday Night Football this upcoming week. And it's a short week, which makes me a little nervous, but it's at Lambeau, and it's against another playoff team who went to the NFC Championship last year. So if we can beat them too, and beat them as soundly as we beat Detroit today, I'm going to feel very, very good about where we're at heading into week 3 against Cleveland. I will just again say I was shocked by how we came out today, but I think that's a very good shot, and I'm very, very excited to see where this season will take us. There's a lot to come, and there's a lot more content to come for me. I'm planning on having a college football video out tomorrow for my week 2 recap, and then I might do an NFL recap on Tuesday or Wednesday if we're interested in that. But anyways, that's kind of all I had for this video. I appreciate you all tuning in and giving feedback, and go Packers.